What is going on YouTube? It is Primitive here, and today we're going to be continuing with some more BT7 content as I'm going to be bringing you my yellow hybrid list with the purple package. Now this is a deck that we're going to be seeing a lot of in the BT7 metagame because it is very powerful, it's very potent, and it just works really well. It's not only aggressive, but it has a lot of defense and recovery, making it a deck that is very hard to beat and something that when you have this deck going and it starts rolling, you can really just start to gain a lot of momentum because you're going to be gaining a lot of memory with things like the TK Kari as well as the purple Karis, and you're just going to be able to do so much in one turn that your opponent can't. Now, this is a list that I have been testing and tweaking quite a bit for the past week or so. I was playing a little bit on TTS, and then ever since we got the cards, I've been playing a lot of decks with it to tweak it. So I wanted to go ahead and bring you this list. It's definitely not the perfect list, but this is a fantastic starting point to start optimizing this list. So once we get into day one of BT7, you have something to build that's going to be able to get you a lot of wins and get you started on your way into the BT7 metagame. But with that being said, let's go ahead and get on into the deck list. So let's go ahead and get on into the Digitama. We are going to be having the 4 Xiaomon here. Now, this card is absolutely insane in this metagame. A lot of people are saying you should play the Demi-Meramon over the Xiaomon, and I do kind of disagree just because the Demi-Meramon has felt bad a lot of the times. Yes, you can draw, and that's great, but a lot of times you don't want to discard anything in your hand because you want to have access to all the cards in your hand depending on the scenarios that your opponent puts you in. And so I found the Xiaomon to be a lot better. Being able to have Retaliate has come in so many times, especially in the metagame right now, where in the early metagame, a lot of people are playing green hybrid, and green hybrid, they're going to swing in with their ancient Beetlemon. It's going to be suspended, they're going to get their thing in, but then you can promote your rookie. You can go ahead and swing in with retaliation and get that off the board and go ahead and get your on deletion effect of your rookie, and it just works so well. Now, this is what I have been testing, but as of last night, doing a lot of testing, I did decide that I kind of wanted 5 eggs in this list, just because with the current metagame, it has slowed down a lot from the JP metagame because we don't have MDF, so Susanomon's not coming out as crazy as it was before. So I went through a lot of games where I would go through all 4 of my eggs, and there would still be 2, 3, 4 more turns left in the game. And so I kind of found that I'm going to be testing the 5th egg here. I think the fifth egg just has to be the Demi-Meramon. I was just saying that I don't think it's the best card, but I don't think there's any other best 5th egg, and you really want to get that free Digivolve in Raising, so that way you can promote next turn and get that swing, get that extra aggression. But as of right now, I'm playing the 4, but I would recommend potentially playing a 5th, just because you're going to get to the 5th egg a lot of the times, and yeah, but the Xiaomon is just a lot stronger than the Demi-Meramon in my opinion. Now, let's go ahead and get on into the full purple package here. We're going to start with our rookies. We are playing the 3 Gazimon. It's a memory tamer. Bokomon is absolutely insane in this metagame. Plus, we're going to be seeing multiple other ways to gain memory. Blue Hybrid will have their things like Hammer Spark, as well as we're just going to be seeing memory boosts throughout a lot of these other decks, especially now that we have access to the new memory boosts in the new set. So the Gazimon is just going to be very good. I like it at 3. I am playing the 7 rookies, and I decided to just go with the 3 Gazimon, and I'm also playing the 2 Elecmon and the 2 Tapirmon. Now, in my opinion, the Tapirmon has definitely been one of the weakest cards in the entire list. Again, drawing in this list hasn't really been super impactful for me. Unless you're trying to find specifically like Jet Sylphimon, there's not a lot of cards that you really need to search for, and there's so much draw that you're usually going to hit them anyway. I have been playing the Tapirmon just because it is a little bit of draw, it is a little bit of cycle, and it has been nice in theory, but when playing it, it has felt relatively weak. I would much rather be playing just the 4 Elecmon. Elecmon is super powerful. It's going to be able to pop things like Bokomon, which is going to be able to slow down your opponent, or it can pop very annoying cards such as Cutemon or Siakomon, which make it so that you can't go into your Jet Sylphy for 1. So you can go in, you can Digivolve this on your Raising. If you have the Xiaomon, you can trade into something with Retaliation, on deletion, pop this, but there was multiple times where I was playing and I could just swing into security, get a security check, and then the on deletion deletes a very crucial rookie on their board, and it's just been super good. I haven't fully given up on the Tapirmon, but the Elecmon has been way more powerful in basically every single game, as to where the Tapirmon is just kind of like, yeah, you draw a card and that's about it. But in this current metagame, I feel like you want something that's going to give you advantage. So being able to have something where on deletion you can delete a rookie, which means that you can trade into something and delete a rookie. You can swing into security. If it goes down, you can delete a rookie. It's just very powerful, a little bit more powerful than the Tapirmon. So if you are testing this, I would consider going up in the Elecmon and down in the Tapirmon. Now to finish up the purple package, we are playing 3 of the Schwartz. I am only playing 3 because 4 was incredibly clunky, and I didn't really feel like I had as much room for it. At 3, it still has felt a little bit clunky to where a lot of the times you're only playing like 1 or 2 of these a game, unless it comes out of security, because it just costs 6 to play, so it is kind of expensive sometimes. And if you have this early game when you don't really have any hybrids or tamers out, it just kind of sits in your hand dead. And so I just played it at 3. I found it fine as 3. You can play 4. A lot of people are playing 4, but I prefer the 3. It's just less clunky, and you aren't really going to ever play 4 in a game. And so if you go through and draw all of them, because you're going to be cycling so much in this deck, then they are going to be a little bit bricky, and so I'm just playing the 3. Then to finish off our rookies, we are just playing the 4 Bokomon, pretty much the best card in the set. This card is insane. You're going to be able to reveal top 5, grab a hybrid and a tamer, which in this deck you're going to be getting double hit off this card pretty consistently, and so you're playing a rookie that's going to essentially draw you 2 cards, and then when you go on top of your tamers, you're going to gain 2 memory, so your champions are essentially going to be able to digivolve for free, and then Jet Sylphie for 1, and so you're going to be able to get to an ultimate for effectively 1 memory while Bokomon's on the field, and if you have multiple on the field, they'll stack and you'll just be able to gain memory. This card's just insane. Definitely playing it at 4 just because the sheer power of it. Now going on and getting into our hybrids, we are going to be playing the 4 Kazemon, we are going to be playing the 4 Zephyrmon, and then of course the 4 Jet Sylphimon. Now, I don't think there's going to be anything to really say about this. We are playing yellow hybrids, so you want to be playing your hybrids. You have your 2 to Digivolve champions here when you go on top of the Tamer, of course. Then you have your Jet Sylphimon, a card that probably should have been hit on the restricted list, but wasn't. So now we have access to it here to be very powerful. Going to be able to give you a lot of advantage. The recovery off of this is just so insane. There's so many games where you can start to fall behind, and then just 1 or 2 Jet Sylphimons in back-to-back turns can really just put you back into the game, especially when you pair it with things like Shine Greymon. And so this card has just been so good, so nothing to really say here. This is just our hybrid package. Now to finish off our ultimates, we are playing 2 of the Yellow Rise. Now this card just makes a lot of sense in this deck because when you Digivolve, you can play a Tamer. We have a decent amount of yellow Tamers for you to play off of this, and you don't really care about not being able to have the on-play as much a lot of the times because you can play like a TK Kari off this, it doesn't matter. And even if you play a Zoe or a TK off of this and you don't get the on-play, it just doesn't really matter because you're going to be able to play multiple of them throughout the game, and you're going to get that search anyway. And then also it adds a lot more aggression to this deck because if you, with the Inheritable, if you have 3 or more yellow Tamers, you do get security attack +1. So pairing this with like Shine Greymon when you have pretty big DP because you have all this, you can swing multiple. I did have a game that will potentially come up on the channel within the next few days where I had a stack going with this on there, and I also went all the way up into Susanomon, and I was able to swing for 4 checks because I had security attack +3, and it was just really interesting. But the aggression that you can get off this is really nice. Shine Greymon is a card that can live a lot of the times because when you Digivolve on top, you're going to be able to clear a lot of boards, and then if there's nothing on the board, you can swing for 2 checks, and then a lot of times it's going to be able to come back and survive going back into your next turn, and then you can swing some more checks. So Yellow Rise has been really good. I was considering going up to 3 here just so that way I could have a little bit more ultimates in the list, because there are a couple games where I felt like I whiffed the ultimates since we are really only running 6, and that's kind of like the Jessmon problem. And so I've been considering going up to 7. I don't really know where the room to fit it is going to be. That's going to have to come with more testing, but I think you could potentially consider playing 3 of these just because not only is it really good when digivolving, it's an incredible inheritable, and yeah, it just works really well with your Tamer deck. Now getting into the Megas, I am playing 3 Shine Greymon, and I am playing 2 Dynasmon. Now, this is nothing really crazy here. I think a lot of people are having this switched with the 3 Dynasmon and maybe 2 Shines, and that might be technically correct, but I found that a lot of the games, you're never going to go into more than 2 Dynasmon. A lot of times you're only going to go into 1 Dynasmon and just let it sit there for a little bit while you kind of just keep recovering, make it so your opponent can't get too much damage in. And so unless they have really good ways to get rid of this Dynasmon, a lot of the times it's going to stick, considering that they're not going to be able to build up as crazy, considering that we have Shine and Schwartz and all these ways to remove things off the board. So I just went with Shine because I wanted to be able to go with just clear the board, recover back up with Jet Sylphie, clear the board, and then just play that type of game, or you can go on top of the Rise. Of course, also Shine Greymon's just basically my favorite card in the game, so I wanted to make sure that I was getting use out of it in this metagame when it's working, but you could switch these 2, play 3 Dynasmon, 2 Shine Greymon if that's what you want, but I have found that as much as Dynasmon is very, very powerful, you don't really ever need more than 2, and unless they're like in your security or something, then a lot of times you're going to be able to hit these, because once again, the cycle in this deck is just ridiculous. You draw through so many cards in this deck. Then we're going to be having one Susanomon. I am just playing the one Susanomon because we don't have MDF to really abuse it as much, and so I found it to be a little bit slower of a card, and if you have two of them in your hand, it's a little bit clunky, and after the first few days of playing, I had double Susano in my hand so many times that I just cut down to one. I found out that you only really need that one. To be able to get the ability to put the 10 hybrids or tamers at the bottom of your deck anyway, it's going to have to be quite later in the game, and at that point, you'll probably be able to find it anyway, and so I just kept it at one. It is a nice little end game finisher. It is also nice to sometimes put on top of your shine or something just so you can delete something big on your opponent's side of the board, and then if they don't get rid of it next turn, you can threaten for huge checks, especially if you have the yellow rise, because then you can get an extra check. So I'm just playing the Susanomon at one. This card is very good. It's very powerful, but I think two or more is just really bricky without the MDFs. My opinion on that might change in the future. This is one of those cards where I don't really know exactly how I feel about it yet. I'm going to need more testing, but as of right now, I like it as a one of. Now, it is a Shine Greymon deck, so let's go ahead and get on into the Tamers. We're going to be playing the 4 Zoe, then we're going to have 3 of the Memory TK, and then we're going to have 3 TK Kari, and then 2 purple Kari. Now, this is probably a lot lower on the Tamer list than a lot of other decks are going to see, but honestly, I don't really see you going over maybe 11 or 12 yellow Tamers in the deck, or just full Tamers in general, because as much as you want these Tamers for you to be able to go get your game plan, get these Shine Greymon, be able to go with your hybrids and all that, a lot of the times you're going to be able to get 4 or 5 tamers out on the board as it is, and you're not really ever going to need that many. And so by having a little bit lower of a tamer count, we are able to fit more consistency cards throughout the deck. I really only had one game so far in all the games testing this where I filmed one last night where I felt like I didn't find any of my tamers, and it was really crazy because any of the other games I played with things like Bokomon, you just find so many tamers. You actually a lot of times have too many tamers in your hand to even play, and it just feels like every turn you're just playing tamers out of your hand. I am playing the 2 Kari here, the purple Kari. This is probably one of the cards that you could cut if you're not really feeling it. I just really like how this card works with the Dynasmon. If you can get this out with the Dynasmon or with the Zoe, you can go ahead and just gain that extra memory, but you can also stop your opponent's turn. How a lot of the metagame is going to go right now is a lot of the times people are going to Digivolve into their champion hybrid, into their ultimate hybrid for 1, and then they're going to be at 0 memory, and they're going to swing. If they do swing, you can tap to end your turn, go to 3 with TK, maybe go higher with the TK Karis. So I've just found this to be very strong. I was playing the 4 TK Karis here, and then just 1 purple Kari. I decided to cut down to 3 here just because I felt this to be very clunky. A lot of 4-cost tamers do end up being a little hard to play out sometimes because you just a lot of the times you're only at 3 memory because of the TK if they aren't putting this live, and so you're playing the tamer but it's just essentially ending your turn. So I decided to cut down on 1 to go up with the Kari, so that way I could just get that little bit of synergy. It is also one of those things where when you run out of eggs, which is something that I mentioned before is going to happen a lot, you can also just have a permanent purple source for your shorts there, which is one of the reasons why I really liked this card. But this is the tamer that I'm at right now. This is probably the thing that is most likely to change throughout as we go on, is how the tamer ratios, how many tamers we have going in. But this is what I like right now. I found really no problems with this. The only thing that I would really potentially change is maybe going back to 2 or 1 Kari and then the 4 TK Karis, just because this card is so powerful. But once you get 2 of these out, you're gaining so much memory that getting any more out is really irrelevant because you almost don't even have enough cards to play to use that memory. Now getting on into the end of the list, we are going to get into our options. We are playing 2 Wyvern's Breath. I feel like this card is absolutely crucial in the list. I have some people saying to take Wyvern's Breath out of the list. Don't do that. Argomon is very much a thing in Green Hybrid. They're going to tap all your tamers, and your main way of getting rid of big things outside of Wyvern's Breath is Shine Greymon, but if all of your tamers are suspended and they can't unsuspend, you're not going to be able to do anything about it. So not only is Wyvern's Breath pretty crucial in the Green Hybrid matchup, which is extremely popular right now, it's also really good in the Mirror match because you want to be able to pop down your opponent's Dynasmon if you don't have the access to build up to Shine Greymon yet, or you don't want to put the resources in to go up into Champion, Ultimate, and then Mega into your Shine. You can just play the Wyvern's Breath straight up, pop whatever it is that you need on the board, most namely the Argomon and the Dynasmon. And so I'm just playing this at 2 because it is very crucial in those 2 times, and it's also just been very good outside of that. It's a really good security check to pop something on the board, and also it is a 15k, which means that you can pop Susanomon, which is something that's very important. If Susanomon comes out, swings 3 checks, and like the first or second check is Wyvern Breath, you can just go ahead and pop it, slow that down, get rid of that, get rid of one of your opponent's biggest combo pieces, and it's just very good. So I just like the Wyvern's Breath at 2. You could potentially go up to 3, and we'll talk about that here in just a second. Then we're playing 1 Reinforced Memory Boost. That's what it is. It is restricted now. now, this card is just very good, especially in this deck, because you can put things like the Wyvern's Breath in your security, you can put Tamers in your security, you can very easily manipulate things to be in your security that when they are hit, they activate, and then you can add something into your hand, like maybe a Mega or your Hybrids or whatever the other card that you get is. But this card's just very good. You do play it at 1 when you have it, since it is limited down to 1. I think it's just powerful enough for you to play, so I did just put this in. It hasn't been the most crazy card when I've played it. It's not like Security Control where it feels game breaking, but it's a very good card that you can come back with, because you can recover up with Jut Sylphie plus the reinforced memory boost to get that extra recovery, or you can just go ahead and play it, and sometimes you find the top 2 and one of the cards that is in there is something that you really need. So I just really like the reinforced memory boost. And then the last card in the deck is going to be the win rate 60%. Now this card is definitely the card that is the most questionable in the list, in my opinion. I just wanted to test this out because it is really nice. If you play this and then you have the Pokemon on the board, you can Susanomon for effectively 3 memory, and then you can also use this to just play Shine Greymon or Dynasmon for 2, which was kind of the main reason I played it, because I thought that would have a lot more utility. But when I was testing it, so far this card hasn't been the most impactful. It has come up sometimes, but it hasn't been as impactful as I thought it was going to be. So this is a card that is likely going to be changed at some point, and this is what I was going to say. If you wanted to play a third Wyvern's Breath, for the effectiveness, you could go ahead and just take out the win rate and put the Wyvern's Breath in right there. It's going to be a very easy trade, but you could really replace this with just about anything. I would recommend that you test out the win rate 60% just a little bit, because maybe what I am testing and what I'm seeing isn't correct. Maybe you guys could get a different view of how this win rate works in this deck and let me know, and I could get a different view on that. But as of right now, it's just not the most impactful card, but it is something that was a nice little something to test. But this is going to be the list. This is a list I've been testing a lot. This will probably be the list that I play mainly throughout BT7 for tournaments and whatnot. Either this or probably Blue Hybrid, just because how these decks play is very much in my playstyle. I have been having a lot of fun with this deck. But with that being said, this is going to be this list. I hope you enjoyed. I hope this is a good start for you, so that way you can get into BT7, play some yellow hybrids, start to learn the metagame, start to learn this deck. And with that being said, I hope you have a great day. Peace out.